Today I've researched and figured out just how much of the Yakuza series is real. From Kamurocho's streets to the rituals of the Yakuza, these games mix great crime drama with a surprising dose of authenticity. So I've dug deep into the research, pulling from developer insights and real-world events to bring you the facts. So let's dive into what's true in the Yakuza universe. Okay, so picture this. You're strolling through Kamurocho in Yakuza, weaving past Hostess Club promoters and street punks on Nakamichi Street. The neon lights, crowded alleys, and buzzing energy feel so real, right? And that's because Kamurocho is a near-perfect replica of Tokyo's Kabukicho, Shinjuku's infamous red light district. But why did the developers pick Kabukicho? It's a mix of history, vibes, and a stroke of genius that was actually decided over work drinks. Kabukicho was a no-brainer for the Yakuza series. Back in the 1980s, when Yakuza 0 is set, this district was a Yakuza stronghold, crawling with their hostess clubs, gambling dens, and shady deals. It was the perfect stage for a game about organized crime, but it wasn't just about the Yakuza connection. Kabukicho's nightlife, packed with bars, restaurants, and 24/7 chaos, gave Kamurocho that living, breathing feel. Just visiting Kabukicho feels like you're actually stepping into the game's world, spotting real spots like the Red Tenkaichi Gate or the Don Quixote store that mirror their in-game versions. So, exactly how did the decision to choose this game's city come about? The choice came from the developer's own nights out. Toshihiro Nagoshi, the series creator, and his team at Ryuga Gotoku Studio used to hit Kabukicho's bars for drinks and brainstorming sessions. During one of these sessions, one of these legends pitched the idea. What if we made a game where players could explore all these places? That spark, born in Kabukicho's neon glow, became Kamurocho. Nagoshi later said the team's deep understanding of the city was their strength, and you can feel it in every alley. Masayoshi Yokoyama, the series' lead writer, had another angle. He wanted to capture the raw drama of Kabukicho's nightlife, drawing from the team's experiences in Tokyo's entertainment districts. They also saw a chance to hook fans of V-cinema, those gritty Yakuza films that often play out in places like Kabukicho. By building Kamurocho, they created a virtual playground for those fans, blending real-world authenticity with cinematic flair. Yokoyama drew inspiration from Tokyo's vibrant entertainment districts, but Kabukicho's unique energy made it the star. It's not a perfect copy, though. The Millennium Tower, a skyscraper central to Yakuza plots, is fictional, inspired by Kabukicho's tall buildings. Like the Hotel Gracery, this mix of real and imagined keeps Kamurocho grounded yet dramatic. But hey, Kamurocho wouldn't be Kamurocho without the Millennium Tower, right? Now, let's get into the Yakuza culture in the games. Spoiler alert, it's scarily accurate according to actual Yakuza. In Yakuza 0, you see rituals like Yubitsume, cutting off a finger to atone for mistakes. That's a real practice. Though it's rarer today as Yakuza keep things hush-hush. The sock-sharing ceremony, like when Kiryu becomes Kyudai with someone, is also legit, which more often are used to formalize bonds more commonly between boss, Oyabun, and follower, Kobun. These traditions are the backbone of real Yakuza life, emphasizing loyalty and hierarchy. The games nail the vibe. Strict ranks, formal language, and bold fashion like Kiryu's gray suit or Majima's snakeskin jacket. Real Yakuza have given the series props for getting their style and social dynamics right. Tattoos or Irizumi are another big deal. Kiryu's dragon and Majima's Hanya mask are flashed during fights, mirroring the intricate full-back tattoos. Real Yakuza get to show commitment. But here's the twist. In real life, Yakuza hide these tattoos in public. Japan's got a stigma against tattoos, often banning them in places like public baths, so Yakuza cover up to blend in. Although I think this is not actually the case all the time, I lived in Japan for a while, and one time I was in Hokkaido with a friend, and we went to a Japanese onsen, which is a public bath, and this bald Japanese dude with a full-on Yakuza tattoo that even went down below his buttocks was just strolling around casually, even though they had a sign barring tattoos. My guess is the rule is enforced, but come on, I guess the staff are going to be too scared to actually confront a Yakuza and tell him to leave. It was still really cool to see though. Aside from that, the game's shirt-ripping reveals are pure drama, but the tattoo designs and meanings are spot on. Combat though, total exaggeration. Kiryu taking on dozens of thugs in Yakuza Kiwami like a martial arts legend is fun, but real Yakuza lean more on intimidation, not fists. Still, the culture, honor, loyalty, and those intense hierarchies feels like it's ripped from reality. The Yakuza games show the Yakuza running hostess clubs, gambling dens, restaurants, and real estate empires, and that's straight out of reality. In Yakuza 0, set in 1988, the empty lot plot, a small piece of land worth a fortune, sparks a clan war. This is a nod to Japan's 1980s bubble economy, when real estate prices skyrocketed, and Yakuza were all over property scams. For example, take the Yamaguchi-gumi, Japan's biggest Yakuza syndicate. In the 80s bubble economy, their front companies pulled off slick scams, forging certificates of deposit, basically fake bank documents, to trick banks into handing over massive loans, sometimes worth hundreds of millions of yen. They used this cash to snap up prime real estate in hotspots like Kabukicho, Kamurocho's real-world twin, where owning a building meant controlling hostess clubs, gambling dens, and protection rackets. It was like playing Monopoly with forged money, and the Yamaguchi-gumi were buying Boardwalk every time. These land grabs fueled their empire, but when the bubble burst, banks were left holding billions in bad loans, some tied to Yakuza's schemes, sparking chaos that echoed in plots like Yakuza 0's Empty Lot. You might think the empty lot conflict in Yakuza 0, the tiny piece of land everyone's willing to kill for, is just fictional drama. But what if I told you that plot might be inspired by a very real location in Tokyo, one tangled up in Yakuza power, political influence, and billions of yen? Let me explain. Back in 1973, in the glitzy district of Roppongi, a massive complex rose from the ground, the TSKCCC terminal. It was a 7-story behemoth packed with everything: nightclubs, a spa, tennis courts, luxury apartments, and hidden in plain sight, the headquarters of a powerful Yakuza syndicate. This wasn't just some flashy real estate project. It was built under the direction of Hisayuki Machi, also known as the Ginza Tiger. He was the boss of the Tosei Kai, a Korean-Japanese Yakuza group, and a man with deep connections to political elites, intelligence agencies, and even right-wing nationalists. The TSK terminal was developed through Twasogo Kigyo, TSK, a so-called front company for the gang, and was backed by a jaw-dropping 5.4 billion yen loan. That's over $20 million in 1970s money. The terminal became a symbol of Yakuza influence. High-profile parties, politicians rubbing shoulders with mobsters, and an aura of untouchable power. But after Machi's death in 2002, the empire began to crumble. Legal ownership of the land became murky. Allegations of fraud started to surface. Everyone wanted a piece of the terminal, and no one could agree on who really owned it. In 2006, a suspicious firm managed to buy the property for 25.2 billion yen. That's nearly 5 times the original loan, and there were whispers of Yakuza money laundering behind the deal. Just 2 years later, in 2008, the entire complex was demolished, leaving behind nothing but a contested empty lot, a plot of land that had once symbolized the Yakuza's reach into legitimate society. Now it was just a ghost. Sound familiar? This story echoes the central conflict in Yakuza 0, set in the 1980s Kamurocho, where rival clans wage war over a seemingly insignificant patch of land, the empty lot. In the game, that small plot stands in the way of a billion-yen redevelopment plan, and whoever controls it controls the future of the city. Then there's Majima's Cabaret Club in Yakuza 0, where he runs Cabaret Grand, managing hostesses and boosting profits, tasked by the Tojo clan. This isn't just a game mechanic. It's rooted in real life. Historically, Yakuza have been deeply involved in running and influencing hostess clubs, or kyabakura, where customers pay for drinks and conversation with hostesses. Back in the 80s and 90s, Yakuza would let clubs operate past legal hours in exchange for protection money, called Mikajime Ryo, or a cut of the profits. Personal accounts from hostesses reveal that many kabukicho clubs relied on Yakuza connections to stay afloat, with one Tokyo hostess saying,
ほとんどのクラブはヤクザと何かのつながりがなければ生き残れない。
Even today, Yakuza influence persists. In 2014, Tokyo police arrested a Kodokai gangster for extorting 1 million yen from a Kinshicho club manager. In 2015, Nagoya cops nabbed another for collecting 900,000 yen from multiple clubs. The Yakuza series captures this dynamic perfectly. In Yakuza 4, you dive into the world of hostess clubs, with scenes showing their atmosphere and management challenges, mirroring real-life complexities. Yakuza 5's guide notes that hostess clubs are part of the water trade, Japan's term for nightlife businesses, like bars and cabarets that flow like water. Unstable yet glamorous, and historically tied to Yakuza influence, though not always involving explicit sex work. So, when you see Majima running the Cabaret Grand, it's not just a fun-side activity. It's a spot-on reflection of how Yakuza used these clubs for profit and control, especially during the Bubble era's nightlife boom. But who are these Yakuza organizations in the games based on? The Tojo clan, running Kamurocho's underworld, is likely inspired by the Sumiyoshi Kai, or Inagawa Kai, both major Tokyo-based syndicates. The Sumiyoshi Kai, with its stronghold in Kabukicho, controls nightlife and gambling, much like the Tojo clan. The Inagawa Kai, also Tokyo-based, shares similar traits with its hierarchical structure and extortion rackets. The Omi Alliance, the big Western player based in Osaka, mirrors the Yamaguchi Gumi, Japan's largest Yakuza syndicate headquartered in Kobe. Its massive size, coalition of clans, and internal conflicts, like those in Yakuza, like a dragon, echo the Yamaguchi Gumi's real-world dominance and its 2015 split into the Kobe Yamaguchi Gumi. Smaller groups might reflect regional Yakuza like the Kudokai in Fukuoka, while the Dojima family, Kiryu's original crew, could draw from historical families like the Ichiwa Kai, known for splitting from the Yamaguchi Gumi. These parallels show how the games weave real Yakuza structures into their epic clan wars, even if the drama's dialed up for the story. Restaurants are another Yakuza front in the games, and real life. Restaurant Row in Isazaki Ijincho is the secret base for the Yokohama Ryumon, a gang using it as a hub for criminal activities, much like real Yakuza might. In 2023, Manabu Yojima, a Kodokai boss, was murdered in his Kobe ramen shop, Ryu no Hige, which he ran as a cover for his Yakuza role. Historically, Yakuza extorted restaurants for protection money until Japan's 1991 anti-Yakuza law cracked down. These businesses, with their cash flow and social settings, are perfect for laundering money or hosting meetings, just as Restaurant Row serves as a meeting spot in Lost Judgment. The games also show legit fronts like construction firms, which real Yakuza use to hide cash. But the over-the-top shootouts, that's just for the story's sake. The Yakuza series captures Japanese daily life, almost to the T. Honestly, when I first started with Yakuza 3 as a teenager, I would sometimes just roam around the open world in premium adventure and admire the handcrafted signs adorning the shops and walls of Kamurocho. Although I couldn't read Japanese at the time, I was just fascinated with how Japan might look in real life, depicted through the game's fake advertisements and posters. In addition to that, I can even pop into a ramen shop and order a bowl of tonkotsu ramen, with menus so detailed, they feel lifted from real life. The games let you play mahjong, shogi, or belt-out karaoke hits, classic Japanese pastimes. Even the convenience stores, like the in-game Poppo, are modeled after 7-Eleven, right down to the snacks on the shelves. Social interactions are a highlight, especially the use of keigo, or polite Japanese, which reflects Japan's hierarchical culture. Kiryu uses respectful language with Kashiwagi, a senior Tojo clan captain, calling him Kashiwagi-san.
Kashiwagi-san.
and using polite verb forms like desu or masu, even after Kiryu's rise to power as fourth chairman. He does the same with Majima, addressing him as Majima no Nisan,
お久しぶりです。真島の兄さん。
which translated to older brother Majima. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, it's never actually explained why he addresses him this way. I hope we get a game like Yakuza 002 to explain this. Even after quitting the Yakuza life, Kiryu keeps this respect, using keigo with former allies. This mirrors real Yakuza culture, where formal language and bowing keep the hierarchy tight and show respect for elders. These details make Kamurocho feel like a living slice of Japan, not just a crime sandbox. The Yakuza games weave real history into their stories. Yakuza 3, set in 2009, has a corrupt politician pushing a resort deal in Okinawa, echoing real Yakuza payoffs in real estate worth over $200 million and political scandals tied to a major party. Yakuza 3 also shifts Kiryu to Okinawa, bringing to life long-running real-world tensions. The core plot of Yakuza 3 focuses on politicians planning to expand a U.S. military base on island land, which echoes decades of Okinawan history. After World War II, American forces occupied Okinawa and still base 75% of U.S. troops there. New base projects have repeatedly sparked mass protests. Up to 30 million Japanese joined the 1960 Anpo protests over U.S. base treaties, and recent decades saw island-wide rallies against runway expansions and relocations. Yakuza 3's narrative of land disputes in Okinawa, pitting Kiryu, a local orphanage, and the Ryudo Yakuza family against shady politicians and military-industrial interests, is rooted in real-world development battles. When Kiryu confronts suited elites behind closed doors, it dramatizes a familiar pattern in Japan's post-war history. Land seized under the guise of progress, pushed through by men in boardrooms, not boots. Even the game's BMD, ballistic missile defense, cover up hints at real talks of missile bases in Okinawa around the early 2000s. While Yakuza 3 throws in fictional supervillains like Andre Richardson and groups like the CIA and Black Monday, its political backdrop of land seizure and community resistance draws directly from Okinawa's post-war history. Yakuza 4's 1985 Uenosewa hit, where Saejima kills 18 clan members in a ramen shop, seems inspired by the Yamaichi War's 1985 assassination of Yamaguchi Gumi's Masahisa Takanaka, which sparked a bloody gang war. In the Yakuza 4-6 era, the series weaves in further real threads. For example, Yakuza 4 introduces multiple viewpoints, including police detectives like Tanemura, illustrating how in Japan the line between cops and criminals can blur. Indeed, history shows police once turned a blind eye to Yakuza Bakatsu, calling them one of the least murderous groups because they even supplied security, for President Eisenhower's visit, for instance. By Yakuza 6, these underworld figures are shown aging and businesslike. Like a Dragon's trailer even notes Yakuza have shifted toward white-collar scams. Kiryu's final saga finds him tangled with family syndicates in Hiroshima, city historically tied to powerful gangs. In Yakuza Like a Dragon, set in 2019, the great dissolution of the Tojo clan and Omi alliance parallels the real-world decline of Yakuza groups. Since 2011, Japan's anti-Yakuza laws have banned businesses from dealing with gangs, gutting their finances. The 2015 Yamaguchi Gumi split into the Kobe Yamaguchi Gumi further weakened them, dropping membership to around 18,800. The game's fictional dissolution captures this fading influence, blending real trends with drama. Across the series, even small details pay homage to truth. For instance, Yakuza Ishin, a spin-off set in 1868, reimagines Kazuma Kiryu as famous reformer Sakamoto Ryoma, a clear wink at history, themes of loyalty, sworn brothers, and losing a finger for honor, all trace back to Edo period outlaws and samurai-turned gangs, where if a person was unable to pay off a gambling debt, yubitsume was sometimes considered an alternative form of repayment. In short, Sega's Yakuza games pack as much history and real-world crime lore as action. From Kabukicho's neon fights to Okinawa land battles, from shadowy boardroom backstabbing to puppet politicians, nearly every major twist nods to Japan's true underworld.